Hi, and welcome to another ElderWatch mini-series. My name is Jessica Zawadsky, and I am the Program Specialist for ElderWatch Colorado, a 20-plus year collaboration between AARP and the Colorado Attorney General's Office. If you feel like it's harder than ever to keep your head above water financially, you're not alone. So in this series, we're exploring some hidden savings. We're looking at programs that might help stretch your budget, and you might not even know that you're eligible for them. Today, we're talking about the Care Worker Tax Credit. Let's start this conversation by looking at some numbers. According to LendingTree, on average in the United States, it costs about $300,000 to raise a child from age 0 to 18. And of course, a large chunk of that cost is childcare. So it's not a surprise that according to the US Census, about 1 in 5 parents relies on relatives for childcare, or about 20% of parents. Now, often childcare for a relative or from a relative is unpaid, so it's really important to know about the Care Worker Tax Credit. To understand this credit, let's first talk about what a tax credit is and explain the difference between refundable and non-refundable tax credits. Before we dive into definitions, it's important to remember that ElderWatch does not provide financial or legal advice. The information that I'm providing in this section is directly from the IRS. So a tax credit, per the IRS, is a dollar-for-dollar amount that taxpayers claim on their tax return to reduce the income tax that they owe. Eligible taxpayers can use tax credits to reduce their tax bill and potentially increase their refund. Now, tax credits can be refundable or non-refundable. In layman's terms, what this means is that if you have a refundable tax credit, you receive the full amount of that tax credit, even if the credit itself is larger than the amount that you owe. So in other words, if a tax credit is refundable, you can get a refund if the tax credit is larger than the taxes that you owe. Now, if a tax credit is non-refundable, that means that once that tax credit reduces your bill to zero, it won't go lower than zero, or in other words, you won't get a refund. The Colorado Care Worker Tax Credit is refundable, which means that it can reduce your taxes to below zero, or in other words, may result in a tax refund. Now that we know a little bit more about tax credits in general, let's talk about the Care Worker Tax Credit. So this program began in 2025, and it is for both early childhood educators and child care workers, including friends, family, and neighbors. Now, there are some eligibility requirements for this program. For example, if you are in the friends, family, and neighbors category, one of the requirements is providing at least 720 hours of care to a child or children who are 5 years of age or younger. Now, this is not the only requirement, so definitely make sure that you meet those eligibility requirements before you begin this journey. In order to get this tax credit, again, if you're eligible, there's 3 steps in this process. The first one is registering in PDIS, which is the Professional Development Information System. And I'll link a lot of resources related to this in the description of this video. The second thing that you'll have to do is once you're in the PDIS, you'll need to complete the Care Worker Tax Credit attestation form before filing your taxes. And then the third thing you need to do is file your taxes. Now, you'll need to include a specific form, which is DR1217, and you do need to file your taxes in order to get this tax credit, even if you don't owe taxes, because remember, it's a refundable tax credit. Now, if all of this is sounding a little stressful and a little confusing, but you do qualify once you look at the eligibility requirements, I do have some resources to help you on the journey. And the first one is the Care Worker and Early Childhood Educator Tax Credit 2025 Filing Guidance, which I will link in the description of this video. It provides helpful information related to this tax credit. If you need help with the digital portion of this process or just digital/computer help in general, check out Senior Planet. They specialize in supporting older adults in learning how to use different technologies, building community, both virtually and in person. They do have a hotline should you need specific help with a tech-related question, and you can call them at 888-713-3495. If you're located in Denver, you can also visit Senior Planet at the Lowry campus. Lastly, Get Ahead Colorado helps Coloradans find free tax help, tax preparation, legal assistance for tax-related issues, and other free resources to help make filing your taxes easier. They'll have some information in there to support you as well. And that's a wrap for today. I hope that learning a little bit more about tax credits in general, but also the care worker tax credit specifically, helps stretch your money a little bit further, helps balance your budget a little bit more. My name is Jessica Zawadsky. Thanks for joining me for Hidden Savings, and I'll see you in the next video.